Okay. So, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. This is Christine with A Naturally Balanced Dog, and I am here tonight with Tonya from Must Love Dogs out of Michigan. And so, our topic today is going to be about the health of our dog's skin and coat, and what are some things that we can do to help improve that. And so, Tonya, before we get started, why don't we go ahead and have you introduce yourself and, who you are and what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I am Tonya Christensen. I own Must Love Dogs in Grand Haven, Michigan. We're right on the shore of Lake Michigan. We've been in business just shy of 16 years, and we are the go-to place for natural, holistic, raw foods, all that great stuff. We have like 5 certified pet food nutrition specialists on staff. I believe we're the only store like that in Michigan. But I've been involved with dogs since I was 16.
Wow. And what led you to open your own store? Because that would be a big, challenge.
I was going to, so I was in title insurance, and I was, I'm a workaholic, and I was working a lot for other people, and I was highly involved with dogs, training dogs and showing dogs, and I decided that I wanted to work really hard for myself as opposed to somebody else. I was really inspired by shopping at dog shows. About 20 years ago, it was a lot different than it is now. But like, there were bench shows, which meant, we had to stay there all day long. And they had the most amazing shopping that you couldn't find anywhere else. And this was, of course, before like Chewy and all that stuff.
Right.
Or Amazon for that. I'm dating myself now, but
right.
But so I just wanted to offer amazing products and great quality foods to pet parents.
Yeah. They have a lot of unique people there that make stuff very crafty and very individual. So that's how I kind of see the boutiques. They always have something a little bit different, which I think is really cool. But anyways, in regards to tonight's topic, and so, one of the things that kind of inspired this topic for me is in working with a lot of people who have pets, there's a lot of scratching and itching that is going on. And so I always kind of think about that's such an agitating thing for a dog, especially if you're trying to train them and work with them and you got a dog just scratching away. And I always talk to the pet parents about like, what are you doing about that? How do you expect your dog to be paying attention when your dog is sitting there scratching and itching all the time? And so I was on the internet, and one of the things that I had learned over the years is that the skin actually has a microbiome that is similar to the gut, or the gut having a microbiome, which is not something that I was aware of. So I was kind of excited about talking about this. So I was hoping you can teach me something.
Well, so too, you're pretty knowledgeable, so I don't know, but we'll try.
So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the skin itself. So let's start there.
Okay, well, one of the things that I wanted to do is kind of outline some of the issues that pet parents are having with their dogs, and what some of the symptoms are. I've got my little handy dandy thing here, so please forgive me as I look down. I don't want to forget anything, and I always, after I'm done with one of these, I'm like, oh, I forgot to say this, and so this helps with that. So, of course, most of the skin problems are like dry skin, itchy skin, flaky, it's red, it's inflamed, it's sometimes calloused and thick, kind of like elephant skin. There can be a lot of shedding, bad body odor, and dull coat. So these are a lot. You can get the microbiome covers all of us. So it's on our skin, it goes in our mouth, up in our noses, in our ears. There's all this wonderful bacteria that helps protect us, and it kind of talks to our immune system, and kind of teaches the immune system what's okay and what's not okay. So even like ear odor sometimes can be a bacteria imbalance in the microbiome. So first of all, those are some of the things that you'll come across when your dog has an imbalanced microbiome. And so, like you said, we're really familiar. Well, some of us are really familiar with the fact that we have a what's the word I'm looking for? Ecosystem of bacteria, and it's also comprised of fungi and viruses.
Yeah.
But it's all these little things that are always on us and in our gut. But we're really familiar with the gut factor. But like you said, who knew that we had it all over our skin too, and the dogs as well. So, and the purpose of the microbiome, like why does it exist? Well, I explained a couple things. It kind of teaches the immune system what's, acceptable and dangerous. It protects us from the outside world. It actually provides a layer of protection against UV radiation. Now with dogs and fur, it's not, some dogs but still on their tummy and their ears, and, where the fur is really short, that's important. It keeps you need to have a lot of healthy bacteria, and goes for the gut too, and any microbiome, in order to prevent the growth of bad bacteria. So it kind of reminds me of gardening. I have like a meadow lawn, and I plant a lot of flowers, and if I don't have enough flowers, weeds get in there. So I will pull the weeds and put more flowers in, and then there's fewer weeds that will grow back because there's just not enough room. So it's the same thing for like the microbiome in the skin and the gut. So we need to make sure that there's a lot of healthy bacteria on the skin, because if you have an imbalance, and there's a lot of bad bacteria, and in the perfect or imperfect situation, when you have moisture, and you can get like hot spots and oozy sores and things like that. It also, the microbiome releases chemicals and amino acids and vitamins to help keep the skin healthy. So it really plays a very important part in keeping our whole dogs healthy, because I want to point out that, although we're just talking about one part, you can't talk about one part without talking about the whole dog, because it's all together.
Exactly. Yeah. And so like one of the things that I always think about, again, going back to my original statement, like when I'm watching, these dogs scratching and itching and stuff like that, it's not just scratching and itching. When they get their nails going, they're actually tearing the skin, which I imagine by doing that can create, like infections and actually create the skin microbiome to be off. Where now you need to do repair work, so to speak. So as they're moving through that, like what are the things that you think that that they should be doing with that?
Well, if you don't mind, I would like to first talk about what does damage the microbiome.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
And then
scratching.
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 Sorry, I got things popping down on my phone. Well, there's a lot of things, including scratching, that damage the microbiome. Unnecessary antibiotics. There's an overuse of antibiotics, and antibiotics kill bacteria, and it's indiscriminate. It doesn't say, oh, we're just going to kill the bad bacteria. It kills all bacteria.
All bacteria. Right.
So, thank God we have antibiotics, and they're used in, very cautiously, and not overused, and only used when absolutely necessary. I like to use colloidal silver sometimes. I don't know how you feel about that, but if it's something mild, colloidal silver is a natural antibiotic, and it also is indiscriminate and will kill good and bad bacteria, but it's not as strong, and it's easier to recover from. So if that's something, I'm not a vet. I don't diagnose or treat dogs, but with my own dogs, if they have a mild something, like if they scratch themselves and I could see the skin's a little broken and maybe a little bit, it starts getting that rashy, I'll spray it with colloidal silver twice a day as opposed to putting them on antibiotics.
Right. Yeah.
Stress is, for everything, stress is a huge factor in causing imbalance in the microbiome. Oh golly, poor diet. And this goes back to where you can't address one part of the body without addressing the rest. A highly processed inflammatory diet, it imbalances the microbiome. Excessive use of drying shampoos and grooming products. There are a lot of things out there with a lot of chemicals and perfumes and detergents and drying agents. And, we just really want to use those kinds of things in moderation. And I'll touch on that in the solutions part, because I've got some good solutions. And lack of being outside is a big thing. So in order for us to have a diverse microbiome internally and externally, we have to expose it to a lot of different things. So it's really important to take your dogs outside and let them explore diverse outdoor places. The beach, like we were just talking before we came on about camping, and my dogs, we go all over and we camp at different places. And every time we go somewhere else and they're laying in the dirt and they're snuffling through the plants and stuff, they're picking up new healthy bacteria that helps diversify their microbiome on their skin. And if they're eating something, like if I drop a biscuit in the dirt or whatever and they eat it, they're getting that soil, the soil probiotics, and they're adding to their gut microbiome. So it is important to expose them to the outdoors.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I had the other day, it kind of brings to thought where all my dogs decided that they were going to rub on the same dead worm. Going, I don't think that's the kind of exposure you're talking about, but it was, dogs rub into the craziest things, you got stuff in the grass or whatever. And so it's great to have them out in the environment and stuff like that. But then there's that part where they're doing things where you're just like, oh, come on, So
yeah,
I don't think I want dead worm microbiome laying next to me in my bed.
She likes to rub her face into where an animal has urinated.
Yes. A lot of dogs do, like deer, from deers and stuff like that. I don't know if you're in the area, but we have like deers in our area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you smell your dog and they got that urine-y smell. And it's just like, I'm sorry, it's bath time.
Yeah.
That's the time I throw them in. But anyways, let's move forward.
Yes. So yeah, just a diversified experiences, the beach, different places. So that's really important. And what we can do, well, let's see. Another thing that damages, when I said excessive use of drying shampoos, I should touch on the fact that you should not use human shampoo on dogs. Baby shampoo is said to have a pH of 7, so it's neutral, but I do not recommend that you use it on a regular basis. It's a like in a pinch thing. But human shampoo, we have a different pH than dogs do. And if you use like I'm just going to use my Pantene or whatever on my dogs, you actually can cause, and most likely will cause, red, inflamed, dry, itchy skin.
Yeah. I think human shampoo is somewhere in the 8 or 9% pH level, and I think dog shampoo should be closer to like a 5 or somewhere. I think it was like 5 or 6 in that. And that was going to be one of my questions, because I always laugh at people who kind of come up, and because we'll talk about like skin and stuff like that, and they'll tell me, oh, I'm Oops, I lost you.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got a
here you
phone
are.
call. Sorry.
Okay,
Spam.
that's that's okay. I was like, oh, she's gone. But anyways, so I get people who sometimes will say to me, yeah, I use my shampoo on my dog because, my dog has hair and they don't have fur. And so these are like the Yorkie people, or they got the silky terriers and they got the longer, thinner hair types or fur or whatever. And so I'm always like, yeah, but it's still not made for dogs, which I think is an important key factor of knowing that it is still damaging the pH level of the skin and stripping.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And
yeah,
don't use Dawn dish soap on your dogs either. That's a common recommendation for dogs who have fleas and ticks, and they see the commercial where if it's gentle for a little duckling that's got oil all over itself, it must be gentle enough for my dogs. Well, again, the pH is not correct, and that little duck is in an emergency situation. So Dawn dish soap is not recommended for, or any dish soap for that matter, for bathing dogs as
yeah,
well.
right. Yeah. And so those are some really good things. And one of the other things you kind of mentioned was about, food being really important. Because again, going back to, dogs that are eating either highly processed food and or that can potentially be creating them to be scratching and itching and chewing and licking on themselves because there's food that are in there or ingredients that are in there that are, maybe they have a sensitivity or an allergy to. And so correcting that is important in order to keep the skin healthy, because that's kind of like that offset. If they're eating something that creates hives, rashes, skin lesions, and things of that nature. So certainly making sure that they, are feeding a food that is something that is healthy for them, and check for allergy issues and things like that. So, so there are there are those that do those sensitivity tests. We offer that on the website as well, which is for food and environment. And we even create meal plans based on that result of those tests. And so in doing that, I find that equally important of, feeding a food that is healthy, species appropriate, that is non-sensitive, that causes all of that irritation to the skin, is equally as important as the products that you're using on the skin as well.
I feel
So,
like I think it's one of the most important things. Everything that we are comes from what we eat, and how we handle the world around us comes from what we provide, what tools we provide to our bodies and our dogs' bodies. So I just feel that diet is
key.
top notch important.
Yeah.
But of course that's a whole nother show, right?
Right. Yes.
but yeah, absolutely so important.
Yeah. So, all right. And so then what is like the frequency in which, the other thing I wanted to ask was the frequency, because there always seems to be this disconnect where either people are bathing their dogs like weekly, or there's those people who are going to argue and say, you know what, I never bathe my dog, but I brush them every day. And so what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I believe that the key to everything in life is balance. It shouldn't be an extreme one way or an extreme another way. So, um, I believe that, well, one of the best ways to handle environmental allergies is to bathe your dog frequently. But that doesn't mean you have to use shampoo. Your goal to, when you're bathing your dog due to environmental allergies, is you're trying to remove the pollen and the allergens from their coat. You can simply do a quick lukewarm rinse that does not remove the beneficial oils, but just washes off the pollen. So you can do that, as long as you're using lukewarm water, not hot water, because the hot water will strip.
Opens.
you know, you can do that as frequently as daily, in my opinion. But as far as using a shampoo or something, it depends on the shampoo. It depends, like, but I was bathing my allergy dog once a week with the Scout's Honor, which is one of the things that I'm going to talk about as a solution. But yeah, that's. I think people don't think about the option of bathing without soap.
Yeah. And, you know, which I think is kind of strange because for even us, we should not be like using soap every day either and shampooing your hair every day. You might, like I take, as we were kind of talking earlier, I take a shower on a daily basis, but I only wash my hair every maybe 3 days. And that's just basically because, yeah, there's a lot of oils. And I didn't really think about that growing up until I started working in the health industry. And people would be like, and then you learn about all the chemicals they put in the shampoo. So it's not just usually on a daily basis are you stripping your oils out of your, you know, out of your skin and out of your hair, but then on top of it, you're using these toxic chemicals, which can agitate and I imagine even create more issues for skin issues, you know, because now you've got a, you know, shampoo that has all these, you know, chemicals. And then you have a dog that maybe is scratching and they have these little nicks on them or whatever. And then it just kind of
They burn, they sting.
cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and so like some of the things because I have a lot of things that we can do to like help maintain and care for the microbiome. You know, the bathing frequency of bathing is definitely an important one. And a lot of it's the opposite of what causes. So like, you know, if stress causes imbalance in the microbiome, reducing stress will reduce imbalance in the microbiome. And sometimes people have that option and sometimes they don't. And sometimes dogs are just in situations that could be stressful that you can't avoid. But, you know, products like CBD or calming chews or things like that can help calm anxious moments and help reduce stress. And of course, we already covered the only use antibiotics when absolutely necessary. Use colloidal silver if you have a minor thing that you might be able to get away with. And of course, you know, again, we covered the get your dog outside, give them a diverse environment. And then also while they're out there, give them time to sniff and explore. It's a big difference of just taking your dog for a walk on the sidewalk and not letting them, you know, get into things. So, you know, it's their walk, let them sniff and explore a little bit. It's also really mentally enriching for them. Their noses are busy, their mind's working. And so it's a great, you know, multiple benefits. Oh, I was going to talk about flea and tick prevention because that's a hot button topic, but
especially now because we're entering into this time. So that's a good, yeah, that's a good mention.
Well, and you know, again, this is a whole nother show, but use natural products whenever possible. I understand that sometimes people are in an environment in which they cannot use natural products. I'm lucky enough, my dogs are raw fed. And I always say flea and tick prevention starts with a diet because a dog fed a highly processed diet smells differently, has a weaker immune system, and parasites want an easy target. So if your dog is raw fed or fresh food fed, or they're not as likely. And so I don't use anything on my dogs unless like we go to Gettysburg once a year and their ticks are really bad. So I'll use like a natural spray, but those chemicals, the spot-ons that go and spread over the skin, they're, you know, they're pesticides and, you know, that seeping over your dog's skin is not beneficial for the microbiome. But again, you know, we all need to do what we're comfortable with and what our situation provides for. But I thought it was worth, you know, pointing that out.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, let's talk about regular brushing. So like I have short-coated dogs, but I still brush them and remove dead hair. If you get say you have a golden retriever and you have a pond in your backyard and your golden retriever jumps out in the pond almost every time you let him out. And he's double coated and his skin is his he hasn't been brushed in a while, so his fur is thick. And I wish people knew I was busy. Phone keeps popping up. And so then it gets moist and damp and warm on the skin. And because the fur hasn't been removed, the airflow isn't. And so now you have an imbalance in the microbiome where you have too much bad bacteria and it's not drying up. So it's repopulating like, rabbits, and you get hot spots and you get inflammation and, the open oozing sores and stuff. So brushing is super important. And if you're unable to do that, naturally have a groomer do it for you. But removing that dead skin and allowing airflow or dead hair. And allowing air to move across your dog's skin makes for a healthier microbiome, healthier skin. So that's super important. And it's also important to try to rinse your dog off after they've gone into the pond or something, because there's a ton of bacteria in the pond or the lake. And the swimming, there's not bacteria in the swimming pool, but the chlorine is really bad.
Chlorine, right? Yeah.
So if your dog goes swimming, whether it be in the pool or the pond, you should really rinse them off after they're done to help remove the harmful chemicals or the bad bacteria. And then if you're, super dog parent, dry them. But that's a big task. But
right. Yeah. And depending on the size and the hair flow. But one of the things that I think too is, if you're doing things like that, particularly if you do have either the crinkly dogs where they have a lot of flaps on them, like your bulldogs and stuff like that, and they get wet. And even if they don't get wet, but like on a summer's day and stuff like that, when there's like a lot of humidity, in those crinkles, they get moisture that gets built up, and then it gets that moldy kind of smell, or kind of, that fungus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like yeasty, right. And that it's growing. So, during times like that, so if your dog is like swimming or you have a particular skin thing, like I usually will recommend doing like an apple cider vinegar rinse or something like that. And then, towel drying. Because I think the apple cider vinegar helps to balance that out a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know for a fact, I'm not a scientist or anything like that, but I think apple cider vinegar for anything. It's got a good pH, and you're just doing you're just diluting it in water, but it's giving it just a little fresh, rinse and stuff like that. And it helps to, I think, kill some of that bad bacteria. Because one of the other things that I think about is when we talk about the microbiome for the skin is, we talked that it has like viruses, and we talked that it has, different ecosystems in order to create it. But one of the things I always think about is those dust mites, because interestingly, when I do those food and environment tests, how many dogs come back with a sensitivity to dust mites? And to me, that is kind of like, if you are not, you got to be like rinsing your dog off and getting those, because I don't know that a dust mite is part of the ecosystem. I think it's like a parasite that's living within the ecosystem that doesn't belong there. You know what I mean? That's
the
kind
skin,
of
skin ecosystem. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm always like, you got to rinse them, towel dry if you can, towel dry. Yep. But yeah, there's a lot of things that are living on the skin, being that it's the largest organ of the body. Mm-hmm. And so there's, like you said, there's a lot of dust and things that settle into the fur and work its way down into the skin. So I think brushing is good, but I do think that you need to be bathing as well. Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned some products that you would recommend from your store and stuff like that.
Well, one thing that I wasn't planning on mentioning, but since you mentioned the wrinkles in like the Frenchies and the bulldogs and stuff like
Yeah.
that, there are wrinkle balms that you can actually put in the
Oh,
wrinkles that help control the growth of bad bacteria in there. So
yeah.
I stock the Natural Dog Company brand, but I think there's other brands out there too. But my favorite, so to the best of my knowledge, this brand is the only brand that offers probiotic shampoo and grooming products. So I think I flipped it. So can you read? Is that right? Can you
It's
read that?
right. It's correct. I can see it fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
But
What type of probiotics is it? How do they get the probiotic in there? What are they using?
So they are using kefir.
Oh, okay.
And they have a patent pending encapsulating system where the actual bacteria is encapsulated, and it bursts open when it dries.
It's into the
Yeah,
oh,
it's really quite amazing. So like,
and that's the exterior because they do that for in for human probiotics. There's like Seed, Thrive. Those are companies that make probiotics, and they encapsulate it into another capsule inside another capsule. So the exterior capsule bursts in the stomach, but the interior capsule makes it all the way through the colon so that you have the health all the way through. Yeah. But this is the first I heard that they do that for exterior. So very cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily for the same purpose,
Right.
to be able to make it through but definitely, a beneficial thing. So they have products like this is a 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner. This is Dog in the Woods. Smell that. It's awesome. It smells so good, and it smells good for days. So that's like, and then if like he gets out in the rain, it like reinvigorates. It's like when your dog gets sprayed by a skunk, but the opposite. It smells really good. And they have products like probiotic detangler, and then the probiotic deodorizer. Now the deodorizer they recommend using daily if your dog is having issues. I don't use these, but the deodorizer, but if your dog were having skin issues, you would use it daily, and I would try to work it into towards the skin. So it could be a little difficult if your dog is a long-coated dog, but I kind of take a comb and run it down and make a part, and then spray, and then work it in, and then go over and make another part, spray and work it in, so that I can try to get it to the skin where it's going to be the most beneficial.
So one of the things that I learned when working in the health food field was, so I think it's great that they have products, but you can also, make your own stuff. If you're familiar with one of my favorite oils is argan oil. And so argan oil is one of those heal all. And so I would put it in a spray bottle, argan oil and sea buckthorn. So those are two oils that you can also get, probably on Amazon or at the health food store. And then maybe put a few drops of essential oil, lavender or something, which is very healing and soothing to the skin, and just kind of shake it. And you just go the opposite. You run your hand the opposite way of the fur, and then you just kind of mist, and it just works its way down the hair shaft to the skin. And I imagine that's kind of where that comes from too.
Yeah.
But you don't always have to go and make a product, but you can always do a little research and find some. But argan oil is used in so many human products, skin care. And it's an oil, so it's not something like, you have to worry about, like where you're talking about human shampoo versus dog shampoo. It's not about a pH level. It's about the healing properties of a particular oil. So those are a couple oils that I like to use when, during the summer and stuff. And if I'm using flea and tick spray, natural flea and tick spray on my dogs, I still try to condition the coat with some natural healing oils as well.
Mm-hmm. I always like to let my dogs smell the oil. That, like, if I'm going to use an essential oil, I like to let them smell it, because sometimes they don't like an oil, and
But then they go rub in the grass.
Yeah, they're gonna roll in the rabbit poop anyway. So,
Right, exactly.
so, and I also wanted to talk about, well, the Scouts Honor also has a probiotic ear cleaner that helps put good bacteria in the ear canal. They have a paw spray. They have all kinds of wonderful things. So that's just check them out.
Yeah,
But
I'm gonna have to look up that line.
yeah, and let's see, we already covered that. Oh, bone broth is good for skin and coat. There's a lot of collagen in bone broth, and that's something because now I kind of wanted to shift and like how can we take care of the skin from the inside out?
Yeah,
And bone broth is a really great option. It's good for skin and coat, and so that's it's good for joints. It's good for gut health. It's good for a lot of things.
right.
So adding a little if you're going to the grocery store, though, please beware not to
Low sodium.
no onions, no seasonings and stuff like that.
Right.
But like, at our shop, we have like probably like, I mean, we've got duck, venison, turkey, chicken, beef, bison, all kinds of bone broth. So to choose from. And then I wanted to talk about oils. And this is another, like, one day coconut oil is great and the next day it's terrible. And one day salmon oil is great and the next day it's terrible. So here's what I do to combat like what do I do? I want to add oils, like the the
Okay, coconut.
cocoa therapy.
Yeah, right. Coconut.
So I believe, this is just my personal opinion, that you should rotate everything. Your dog should not eat the same thing every day. Your dog should not take the same supplements every day. Your dog should not take the same probiotics all the time. That you should rotate things. So we have everything from krill oil to salmon oil. And this one is really amazing. This is from 4-Leaf Rover. It's made with New Zealand green lip mussels and ahi flower oil. There and use the bottle, and when you're done with the bottle, you use something else. And when you're done with that, use something else.
Rotate it.
And that way, it doesn't have a chance to cause any issues. But your dog's body can kind of pick and choose what it wants, what it needs for the optimal health of their body and their skin and coat. And then, of course, you can't have a microbiome without healthy bacteria, aka probiotics. So I recommend that every dog be on probiotics periodically. It's not something I do for my dogs every single day. I might, do a week on and a week off. And that's just because I just don't know that doing something like if you do like say a hip and joint supplement every single day for a year, you may notice that its efficacy is waning off. But if you try a new one, all of a sudden your dog's feeling better. And it's not necessarily because that second product is any better. It's just different. And the body, in my opinion, becomes complacent and doesn't recognize or utilize things as much as if you're rotating them and doing different things. So like here we have Adored Beast, Love Bugs, really great probiotic, 4-Leaf Rover. This is a soil-based probiotic. Oh, sorry, Kiwi. And so, fermented products are really great. Fermented products are actually good to soak your dog's itchy feet into. Give a little foot soak of
good idea.
Raw goat's milk, stick their little feet in there, give them a little soak, but it helps add healthy bacteria to the skin surface too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And again, that was kind of one of the things. And so, one of the things that I learned is, again, working in the human health industry for many years, a lot of the things that we're talking about are actually things that, we talk from a human aspect. So, rotating, your supplements, finish a bottle, try something. These are all things that we've been doing from a human aspect for eons. And so I think, interestingly, you see, common denominators from humans and what they're recommending for dogs as well. Because one of the things is I think they make a lot of great dog products. And I'm going to have to do an episode that talks about human products that we could use on our animals, because I think one of the things is in some cases, like you were saying, if they have a joint formula, well, glucosamine chondroitin with MSM is the same, whether it's human product or dog product. They just slap a different label on it in a lot of cases, unless they're putting other things into it. But so sometimes you can utilize human supplements for our pets. I know you're in pet store, but I'm not trying to deter anything from that. But that is the reality, is a lot of times that you can. So I have used human probiotics on my dogs, although they do make some really nice products for pets, like that you're like the was that Adorn Beast that you were? Who does the love bugs?
4-leaf rover.
No, the love bugs.
Adored Beast. Yeah, Adored Beast does the love bugs, and then 4-leaf rover does the soil based. Yeah.
And so I think those are really great products that, both of them. I like the Adored Beast products. As I think they have a wide variety of very healthy, and I think that the company in itself is very astute to, what they're putting into the bottle. It's just not being slapped in there and, and labeled. So I think that's quality is important. I think they have a nice quality product.
They even have one called Phytoflora, I believe. I stock it. It's kind of pricey, but it's a really great product. And you know what? If you're not doing it all the time, it's okay to throw something expensive in. The Phytoflora, and I may be misstating this, so whomever's watching, I apologize, and you'll want to research this on your own. But Phytoflora, I believe, is the only product on the market that is dog specific probiotics. So it's bacteria from dogs meant for dogs, so I throw that into the rotation once in a while as well.
Great. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Are there any key points that we may have missed that you still wanted, or did we hit all of the areas that you felt that you were? I know you probably have more, but let's just kind of.
Yeah, I don't think I do. I think we were really good at my notes and covering everything, all the important stuff. No, naturally, we're only touching the surface of a lot of these things, and there's a lot more to learn under each thing. But
absolutely. And so the best ways to kind of get this information, obviously, there's Google. But, going into boutique stores like your store that have employees that are very knowledgeable about the products and about the quality of the products, as opposed to, buying your products at the grocery store or, the big box retailers where, they're just buying stuff to throw on their shelves with absolutely no knowledge of the quality and what it is. So, I think supporting small businesses and, and the boutiques, you're going to get a far more superior quality and more knowledge, where you can go in and talk to somebody. Like you said, you have 5 people that are working in your store that are certified in nutrition. So that you can go in there and talk to them about particular things. So, and actually get good, solid information. And so I thank you so much for joining me, Tonya. I did learn a couple of things.
Oh, good.
So, thank you. And so that was really good. I was like, oh, okay. So now I'll be going on Google and doing some deeper dives for myself, just for my own education. So I really appreciate you coming on. And so I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. If you have any questions for Tonya, sorry, I didn't mean to, that's just speaking too quickly. You can reach her at, she is at mustlovedogsonline.com. And again, you're in the Michigan, what area?
The West Coast. So we're just about 45 minutes from Grand Rapids. We're right on. I mean, I could throw a stone and hit the lake. So we're right out Michigan.
Very cool. Very cool. So again, thank you so much for joining me. We'll see everybody next week. And thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. Boop.